You may have signed up for your first marathon or are thinking about it and have a few questions. I've completed 5 and I've already made all the mistakes so that you don't have to. We'll count down from 10 with number 1 being your race day strategy. Number 10, the body responds to what the mind tells it, so periodically during every training run, remind yourself that you are absolutely a world-class runner. Number 9 is shoes, and it's important that your shoes are comfortable. Number 2 is that pronation and supination are normal functions of a normal foot, so it's not something you want to control unless you have a definite problem that you need to address. So most people are going to do well with a neutral cushioned shoe. And then number 3 is to rotate shoes as a form of cross training for your feet. So I have 3 different neutral shoes. If you want to know what they are, just ask in the comments. Number 8 is strength training and cross training. When we run, if we only run, we're using certain muscles a certain way. So we might overdevelop some, underdevelop some others. We strength train to create a balance to ward off injury. Cross training can be elliptical machine as part of a recovery. It also tends to work the muscles in a different way. You could do the stationary bike, elliptical machine. I like the stepper at the gym, but just you definitely want to cross train and strength train to create the balance that's going to ward off injury without a doubt. It's going to improve your running too. You still want to focus on running by far as your main thing, but definitely include cross training and strength training. The plan is subjective and personal. Pick a plan that jumps out at you that you like the looks of and stick to it, but you don't have to stick to it to the day. But as important as the plan, maybe even more important, is your pre-plan. I personally think it takes about 2 years to prepare to start training for a marathon. But whatever you do, I actually have a pre-plan that I'm going to put a link to in the description, that no matter who you are, no matter what you're training for, whether it's 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons, I think it's a really good way to kick things off with the pre-plan. Again, I'm going to put a link to that in the description. Number 6 is the 80-20 rule, and with marathon training it might even be the 90-10 rule. But generally I have an 80-20 rule to most of my workouts, but with marathon, it is a marathon, so you want most of your runs to be at a low to moderate intensity, and then maybe 1 day a week have that hard run or speed training or whatever part of your plan is. But make most of your runs really a low to moderate, especially the long run, just really smooth, low intensity, almost a conversational pace. Really important. You're building up your vascular system, and you don't want to create all the lactic acid that might get in the way of that. The long run especially, just chilled out, smooth and comfortable. Number 5 is moderately self-explanatory, but it's diet, rest, recovery, and sleep. We can go way into detail, but just be mindful of those 4 things. With your diet, you don't have to do anything crazy. Maybe just make sure you have a solid foundation of healthy foods, and then taper off with, if you eat any junk food, just keep that to a minimal. You don't necessarily have to cut it out completely, but just be mindful of those 4 factors. Again, diet, rest, recovery, and sleep. Number 4 is, now you're at a point in your training cycle, it's going to get really difficult. You're going to question yourself, and you're going to be like, this is really hard. Not quite sure what I'm doing. Remember how you felt when you signed up for the marathon, how psyched you were about it, and you probably knew it was going to be tough, and now you're in a situation where it's actually tough, but just keep going. It's going to be awesome. You're there. You're more than halfway there. Just stick to it and work through those tough times. That might mean you need to taper down your intensity a little bit, maybe take a day off or whatever, maybe replace a run with 30 minutes on the elliptical machine or whatever. Just listen to your body and it'll clearly tell you what to do. Number 3 and number 2 are fueling and your race day checklist. I actually wrote a blog post about that, so I'm going to include that in the description, so I won't go into too much detail with that. Number one is we're now on race day. You want to get your logistics straightened out, where the starting line is. If you're with a charity team, where their tent is set up and all that kind of stuff. You want to know where the porta potties are. As far as that goes too, just know that your race doesn't start until you cross the start line. So if you have to go right before the race, after the gun was shot, then take your time. Again, your time doesn't start till you cross the start line. But when you do cross that start line, start slow and stay that way no matter how good you feel. Just start slow, stay that way, have perfect form for the entire race from start to finish. Relaxed, ultra relaxed, super slow, and just chill. At the halfway point, if you feel like you can step it up a little bit, maybe a little bit, again, be careful because it's around that mile 16 to 18 that people tend to fall apart if you pushed it a little too hard. So just nice and relaxed, perfect form, and just stay incredibly smooth. Good luck, and my two favorite things are how marathons promote a healthy lifestyle and sharing the race day with tens of thousands of fellow marathoners. My name's Cory. Thanks for watching, and you are fit over 50.